Very, very weird. Okay. So, Cheyenne, I got your chat. For Thursday, I'll come back, okay? At the end of class, I'll talk to you about what you missed on Thursday. For today, I want to talk about what we're doing this week. I want to turn off this picture. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
Okay.
Can you start laughing really fast?
Yeah, go really fast. So for everybody online, I'm going to show you a couple things. Who is that?
Sorry.
No, oh, you don't sound good, honey. Okay, can you guys all see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So for those of you at home, more messages. Sorry, I'm just checking the chat. Okay. For those of you at home, couple things. So the first thing, and you know what? I've got one in the bathroom. I'm gonna wait till she gets back so I don't have to go through this again. Do you guys online have any questions while you're waiting? Cheyenne, maybe I can address your question while we're waiting here. So Thursday, what did we cover? It's been a few days. I'm trying to remember. Oh, Thursday, we took a little break. We played a couple games online that had to do with government. We did something called I Stand With, which it's in Thursday's folder from last week. Just looking at what political parties that we would be most likely to stand with if we were to vote now. And then, let's see what else. Then there was a little game I shared that you guys could play. So we just kind of took a break because we've been doing nothing but work in this class. So, and usually if we were in class face-to-face, everybody, we would have a break every other Friday or so. So it was just kind of we talked about politics, we talked about different candidates, and I don't know, I think some people caught up on some things. So that's where we were at last Thursday. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the exam coming up on this Thursday and what that's going to look like for everybody. And yeah, and then we're going to talk about some checks and balances in our government, and I'll be going through that today. So actually, I could go back. So we're looking at congressional oversight. We're going to watch a little video today about something that actually happened and how congressional oversight was used. So just give me a minute. Rachel's in the restroom. When she gets back, then we'll get going. So anybody have a good weekend? Did anybody get out and see the fall colors? It was so pretty out.
I went to Illinois all weekend.
You went where?
Illinois all weekend.
Oh, okay. Where'd you go?
Rockford and Rocket King or something like that. I don't know.
What'd you do there?
We went to a pumpkin patch and then we went to visit my brother's girlfriend's family.
Oh, okay. Oh, you caught a nasty cold, huh?
I think so.
How are you feeling? Feeling pretty crummy?
My throat's been hurting and my nose has been stuffy today.
Ugh. Keep an eye on that. Hopefully it's just a cold.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Can you still smell and taste?
I could smell, but I haven't tasted anything today.
Okay. Well, it's a good sign if you can still. Oh, honey, you don't sound good. Somebody's phone's ringing.
It's mine, sorry.
Okay. Come on, Rachel. Well, since you guys at home are on your Chromebooks already, let me show you something. So if you go into, when you go into Schoology, it's being kind of slow. So for those of you at home, if you go into today's folder, hi Rachel. You can either find it going to the slideshow, which is here, or it says Unit 2 exam, and I'm going to go over that right now. Oh, thank you. I forgot to have kids sign in. Oh, wait, I better take attendance. I'm still getting used to how this stupid new attendance works. And I'll make sure that, like, it checked you in to make sure.
Okay, because I only signed out when I went to the bathroom.
So it might actually sign you into class.
Okay, well, do you want
So, wait, no, let me look. I'll look. It'll tell me. Why don't you do it again, just to make sure?
Yeah. Because, I mean, since I did it twice, it probably thinks I'm gone.
Wait, do it again. It didn't work.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
I don't know why it didn't work the first time. All right.
Like, doing it through these, sometimes there's, like, something on the, like, plastic that makes it weird.
Okay, this is... oh, that's because it's showing up there. Lovely. I'll do it after class. I'm not going to worry about it. All right, you got, because the kids at home are waiting. So you're here and everybody else isn't, and that's okay. So, okay. So I was just saying, people at home, if you want to bring up, so today's lesson. So, and Rachel, I have a hard copy, but I want you to be able to access this too. So if you go on to either the slideshow or today's lesson in Schoology, it's right here, the Unit 2 exam review.
Okay.
So you guys are going to be able to use this on the test. So I want you to get it filled out so that you can do it on the test. And if you save a copy for yourself, you can type right in here, which might be helpful.
Wait, so I can't type it in here.
Right, you got to open it up completely and then save a copy for yourself. Yeah, you're going to have to open it up and save a copy for yourself.
Okay, because it's letting me edit it.
Oh, I don't want that.
Yeah, so I'll...
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will make it so that...
Yeah, because I would... If I didn't know, I would have kept filling it out. What day is that on?
So for you guys at home, it will be on next Monday. For you guys here, it'll be Thursday. Oh, that's why. I'm just going to change these all to viewer. Oops. Sorry, I just don't want people to make changes on here and then they lose it. Save. Okay. All right, anyway, so, yeah. because we're going to do, this one's going to be like multiple choice short answer. It'll be a Schoology quiz versus having you guys write something. I'm still missing tests from some people. I'm still working on corrections for some people. I have your test, Rachel, so you're good, and I'll get it back to you. I'm hoping to get back to you tomorrow. I'm hoping to get tests back to everybody tomorrow. So if corrections do need to be made, you can work on those. This one's going to be more of a quote-unquote normal test for you guys to take. Anyway, the study guide is here, so if you want to get to it, you can get to it there. Tomorrow, we're going to do a class activity in class, so it'll be important that you log on because you guys will be part of that process from home. So we're going to talk about how a bill becomes a law. And then on Wednesday, we're going to finish up Chapter 7, take some time to review for the exam, give people time to work on these guys, and then take any questions. And then on Thursday, what's going to happen, those of you at home, going to have you log in. We're going to do the test that day. So we can do one of two things. If you want to take it Thursday and get it over with, we can. What I'll do is I will turn on Go Guardian. I'll see what's on your screen. I'll have you take the test on your screen, and you can take it from home and be done with it. Or if you want to wait until Monday, that's okay. Rachel, for kiddos here, for you and Lexi, I'd like you to take it here. Mm-hmm. If you need more time, we can talk about it at that point.
Wait, the test?
The test, yeah.
I could.
I think you guys will be okay if you've been here. I know you've been logging in every day.
Normally I'm like running on a treadmill listening to what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's fine. And then everything that's on the test, everything that's on the test will be something that can be found in here. So if not, maybe not everything on here will be in the test, but if you do this handout and you're able to answer all the questions and do the vocab, you'll be fine.
Could I have that?
Yes.
It's easier for me
to
like fill
do a
in
paper
study
copy.
guides
Yep.
than-
I know it might not be quite enough room on there, but so okay.
I'll write small.
All right. So today we are going to do. We're looking at oversight in Congress, and what oversight is basically. I gotta figure out how to turn off the screen because it really
quick. So this is due when you said?
It's due by the day of the test, and Rachel just asked when that review is due. It's due when you take the test, and I will give you credit for doing it, but it's not something you have to have completely filled out because maybe there's a question you're like, I know how to answer that. I don't need to write it out. That's completely okay. If you want to, but for anything you think you need the answer for, feel free to write it out and then you can use it on the test. So that review guide's really going to be helpful. Feel free to print it out. Otherwise, like those of you that come on Monday, if you want me to print it out, like you've typed in it and you want me to print it out, I can print it out on Monday when you guys get here. And then you can use it on your test. So whatever works for you guys is completely okay for me. I'm pretty flexible that way.
This doesn't have the first one.
Wait, you have the wrong copy. Does it have lesson 1? Does it have chapter?
Yeah, so this is lesson 2 on it, but
is it just reversed?
I think so.
I think it's just stapled wrong.
Okay.
Wait. What? Hold on, guys. Oh, I see.
Okay.
It got stapled wrong. Is that one right? That
Yeah,
one
this one's right.
You have?
Yeah.
You sure? Okay. Sorry.
Wait. So it has lesson 1.
Lesson 1, 2, 3.
Lesson 4, lesson 5. Okay, yeah.
And then they should go in order again.
Yeah.
You sure you got them right? Okay. Sorry about that. All right, I know. It feels a little confusing today. I apologize for that, kids at home. Why can't I shut off this video? I don't know why I can't shut off this video. It's weird. Yes, but then I need to sanitize everything when you're done, okay? But yeah, go ahead. Paintbrushes are, yeah. All right, so let's get going. All right, there's a lot on this slide. to summarize, basically what we're doing today is we're looking at how Congress deals with when things go wrong. How do we look at checking that? How do we look at making sure that people in our government are doing their jobs? So we're going to do that, and we're going to include the president because somebody has to check the president's power, and it's Congress that has the right to do that. So,
are you on the slideshow that's in here?
Yep, I'm on the slideshow. So, the power to investigate. There's a lot on this slide. I kind of summarized this. I don't think we need to spend a ton of time.
Make these so cute.
I found some slides that are fun. Yeah, I found some new slides that are fun versus like the boring ones that you can get. I know, they're cool, aren't they? So, okay. So the power to investigate. Our Congress has the power to investigate. And generally when they investigate, if you guys remember from last week, something called standing committees and select committees. Standing committees, if you guys remember from last week, are committees that are permanent. They're part of Congress. Select committees are designed just to do a specific task. So let's say there's something the president's doing wrong. A select committee may be assigned to just figure out if he's actually doing something wrong or not. And that has happened in history. In fact, we just had our president investigated for some issues. And the end result of that was complicated, so we won't go into that one. Congressional committees have the power to subpoena witnesses, punish perjury and contempt, and grant immunity. So those 4 vocabulary words are actually in your books. If you want to look those up, you can. Do you guys know what subpoena is? If you've watched any crime shows, what's a subpoena?
It's even where they petition the court, right?
Yeah, it's basically the court saying you have to come speak in court. So Congress may actually subpoena people, companies, to say, hey, you have to come testify. Do you guys know what perjury is?
Isn't that bad?
Yeah, perjury's bad. What is that?
Is it something with money?
Nope.
Like faking documents.
Faking. So perjury is lying to court. So that's how Clinton got in trouble. It wasn't necessarily just that he had sexual relations with an intern. It was because he lied about it.
Huh.
And then contempt would be basically speaking out of turn in court. And you can get in a lot of trouble for that too, if it's done.
There should be a thing with these stupid debates.
Rachel just said it should be a thing with the debate.
They're terrible. Like,
the vice president one was pretty good.
Like, he was fine, but Trump would not shut up.
I know.
The whole time. I was like, see, I never watched him. That was the first one I've ever watched. And I never want to watch it again because of that.
Yeah. The vice presidential debate was much more calm and like real. Yeah. The last word on there that's in bold is immunity. Do you guys know what immunity is? So let's say, go ahead.
So normally you can like make a plea deal, or like they'll give you a deal, and if you tell the court something, they grant you immunity from being like prosecuted.
Yes, that's exactly it. So Rachel just said that, like, let's say you did something wrong, but you know something that somebody bigger than you did wrong, and you agree to testify against that person, and they give you immunity so that you don't get in trouble for what you did, so that you testify for somebody else. That's what immunity is. Good. Just like in an actual court case, even though these things happen in Congress, they must protect your constitutional rights if you're a witness in Congress. So even though it's not court, you still have to, the Congress still has to follow all the rules that the court would have to follow. Okay. The power of oversight. So legislative oversight is a really important congressional power. And it's the power of Congress to be able to review policies, programs, activities of the executive branch on an ongoing basis. And I have that broken down a little bit on the next slide. So first, and we haven't talked about the executive branch yet, but there are literally hundreds of different executive agencies. Congress has the power to look at those agencies and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that's a super important power. So that's executive agencies. And generally, the Government Accountability Office, the GAO, is the group responsible for doing that. So that's just something, these two things are important to know, executive agencies and GAO. The legislative veto and independent counsel were things that were at one time proposed where the legislative veto was a provision where Congress wrote into some laws that allowed it to review what agencies were doing. An independent counsel would be a counsel was appointed to conduct certain investigations. Those have both been dissolved at this point, so they're no longer part of Congress. But through time, they were things that were used as investigative oversight. And you'll see those things come up, and sometimes they want to reinstate like a legislative veto. But just know that they're in your book, and the book spends quite a bit of time talking about them, so I thought I should mention them, but they're no longer used. So I want you guys to know that too. Okay, so the Titanic investigation, and this basically, I think I can bring it up a little bit bigger, maybe. A little bit bigger. So I'm just going to read this. Ismay tells Senate committee Titanic was not seeking speed record and testifies in general ignorance of details of disasters. So the Titanic was just one of those things that our Congress decided to investigate. Like, who was at fault here? And Congress asked, were you going too fast and not paying attention to where you were going? And they don't believe that that's what happened. But here's the deal. The Titanic wasn't prepared to sink. So there weren't enough lifeboats, there weren't enough life jackets. And so when the Titanic went down, a lot of people died that wouldn't have had to die if it had been properly taken care of ahead of time. It wasn't an American boat, so in the end, even though Congress could investigate it, there's not much they could do because it was an Irish boat. It wasn't coming from America. But that's the type of thing that Congress has investigated. Like when big bad things happen, you guys have probably heard of like oil spills. Congress will investigate who was at fault, especially if people died or got hurt, or when you have like tons and tons of wildlife dying. And they can fine companies, they can dissolve companies. Companies can get in a lot of trouble if they're doing things that are really hurting a whole lot of people. So that's this power of investigative oversight. All right. Go forward. There we go. Oh, whoa, stop. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to watch a little video on, it's only a 4-minute video, but I think it'll make it a little bit more clear about what an investigation would look like. So.
Goldman Sachs deceived investors by selling them securities that were designed to fail. Today, Goldman executives raised their right hands and swore under oath that they did no such thing. Not in a courtroom, but in a very contentious hearing, complete with barnyard language on Capitol Hill. Anthony Mason is our senior business correspondent, and Anthony, things got pretty hot in that Senate hearing room.
They did, Katie, and Goldman execs got an all-day grilling. CEO Lloyd Blankfein had to defend himself and his company against accusations that Goldman Sachs, one of the country's most profitable and powerful banks, was running a casino.
We didn't have a massive short against the housing market, and we certainly did not bet against our clients.
Lloyd Blankfein's testimony did little to persuade the Senate committee.
It's gambling. Pure and simple, raw gambling.
Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill compared Goldman Sachs to a bookie.
You had less oversight than a pit boss in Las Vegas.
But Nevada Senator took offense at the Las Vegas analogy.
Because in Las Vegas, actually, people know that the odds are against them.
Through 8 hours of interrogation, Goldman executives held their ground.
We did not cause the financial crisis.
And offered no regrets.
Regret to me means something that you feel like you did wrong.
And I don't have that. Daniel Sparks is the former head of Goldman Sachs mortgage department. We made some poor business decisions in hindsight. But the Senate subcommittee said emails showed that as the financial crisis deepened, Goldman Sachs made a massive bet the housing market would collapse, in effect betting against mortgages that Goldman, at least in part, helped to finance.
Synthetics became the chips in a giant casino.
The hearing included the first appearance by the Goldman vice president, known in emails as the Fabulous Fab.
My name is Fabrice Tour, and I work at Goldman Sachs International in London.
Tour is the only executive named in the SEC's fraud case against the bank, which accuses Goldman of deceiving its clients about an investment allegedly designed to fail.
I deny categorically the SEC's allegations, and I will defend myself in court against this false claim.
But Michigan Senator Carl Levin quoted from this company email, which used a vulgarity to describe another investment called Timberwolf, which Goldman was trying to sell.
Boy, that Timberwolf was one deal. How much of that deal did you sell?
Some context
Yeah,
might be helpful.
I tell you, the context is mighty clear. That Timberwolf was one deal.
Goldman's chief financial officer later cringed at the quote.
I think that's very unfortunate to have on email.
How you embarrassed?
What does that email suggest?
It suggests that Goldman knew that the financial products that they were selling to clients were very likely to fail and not be profitable.
Maine Senator Susan Collins asked the bankers to define their duty to customers.
But did the firm expect you to act in the best interests of your clients?
I believe that we have a duty to serve our clients well.
I guess, Mr. Chairman, that I'm not going to get an answer to my question any more than you did with yours.
Goldman executives argued they did not place a massive bet against the housing market, but conceded that in 2007, they made a $500 million profit on their mortgage investments. Katie?
So, Anthony, who do you think made the stronger case today? Was it Congress or Goldman Sachs? And did this really serve the public in any way?
Well, I think the public would have a hard time understanding it. It was almost in a foreign language, Katie. Both sides dug in. I didn't see any clear ground gained here. And Goldman Sachs stock today remained largely flat when the market was down, which suggests there wasn't really any further damage to them. Goldman continues to insist they did not cross a line here, but the larger issue still may be that that line needs to be moved.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about this a little bit.
I'm confused.
Yeah, we'll talk. It is a little bit confusing. So, cause and effect. So let me explain that a little bit and explain why we're using this today in class. And if you guys at home want to jump in at any point, you're welcome to. So Goldman Sachs is a huge investment firm, and this was before you guys would remember, but they dealt with mortgages. Mortgage is what people have when they own a house. So basically, they said they gave mortgages to people, and what was happening during this time is big firms like Goldman Sachs were mortgaging people's houses at lower interest rates than they had originally been, and giving people home improvement loans and things like that. They were saying that the houses were worth more than the houses were actually worth. And this is in context because I remember what was happening during this time. And then the market crashed. A lot of people lost jobs around the housing market crashed in 2007, 2008. People were trying to sell their houses, but they had gotten loans for their houses. So let's say your house, just to give it an even number, is worth in real dollars, it's worth $100,000. You got a loan for $150,000. Maybe you paid off some debt. Maybe you did something with that extra money that you got from your loan. But now you lost your job, you can't afford to make your payments, so you have to sell your house. You go to try and sell your house, and your house isn't worth $150,000. It's only worth $100,000. So how are you going to pay that loan back? So a lot of people lost their houses because of that. So this committee was formed to decide, are they doing something wrong? Did Goldman Sachs do something wrong? and basically hurt a lot of people's livelihoods. So that email that they kept saying, that it was a shitty investment, basically. Do you guys think they knew what they were doing? Yeah, Rachel's not a yes. Like, yeah, they knew what they were doing. They were doing it to make money. And what they did was wrong, and it hurt a lot of people. And how did they respond throughout the hearing? I mean, Goldman Sachs kept saying that they didn't feel like they did anything wrong. Here's the truth about that whole housing market situation was nobody really, like the people that got hurt in the end weren't the people making thousands of dollars, millions of dollars off these deals. It was the average homeowner that lost their house because of it. Just 1 second. Make sure you rinse those and don't let them sit because they dry really fast. Okay. Anybody have questions on this?
Miss Davis, I do that to my little siblings all the time.
What's that?
I'm like, make sure you wash out the paintbrush.
All right. So now we're going to just talk a little bit, switch gears and just talk about how Congress oversees the president. Because somebody has to check the president, right? With our president right now, if he had been allowed to do everything he wanted to do, yeah, well, and I don't want to like step on anybody's toes because I know some people support. Rachel said we all be dead. I don't think we'd all be dead, but he didn't know and understand that he can't just do anything he wants as a president, and that is a true fact. He tried to do something when Congress said, "Hold on, you can't do that. That has to be approved by Congress, or that has to be approved by the courts." So we need to have checks and balances, and this is, once again, I'm reminding you that checks and balances is going to be your big question for your final, is we're going to be looking at how each branch checks the other branch. That's what the final is going to be, and we're going to do that together as a group. So don't stress out about that. So how does Congress check the president? So first of all, what things cause problems between the president and Congress? And there are a lot of things that cause tension. So the first one I'm going to put here, and you guys can, those of you at home, constituency. So that word in bold that says constituency. Basically, that means that the president, who are his constituents? Do you guys know? Rachel?
Wait, what is that?
A constituent is just a vote, is a person that lives in somebody's district. So basically, all of America is the constituency of the President of the United States. Okay. Versus your Congress people only deal with the House of Representatives. Representatives deal with just people in their district. So we're District 2 here in Greene County, with District 2. Senators deal with the state of Wisconsin, but they don't have to necessarily agree with the state of Illinois on things or the state of Minnesota on things. Versus the president has to answer to the entire nation. So that can cause problems. Partisan politics, parties, that absolutely causes tensions between Congress and the president, especially if Congress does not match, the majority parties don't match the president. And right now, our House of Representatives is majority Democrat, and our president is Republican. So obviously, they don't always get along. The organization of Congress allows us through our Constitution to resist presidential proposals, to be able to say, I don't think we're going to do it that way, because the Constitution says we have oversight over you and we can tell you no. An example of that would be war. If the president wants to go to war with somebody, I won't go into a whole lot of details on this, he can send troops, but those troops will be recalled after 60 days if Congress doesn't approve. So even though he is the commander-in-chief, he doesn't have the right to start a war without Congress. And then differing political timetables. Congress is in session for a year, over a 2-year term, but the president's always in session. And the president plays with that sometimes so that he's doing things that coincide with the end of a term. And we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about how a bill becomes a law. Okay. What events and legislation have shifted the balance of power over the years? So you can read this in your book. It goes through very specific things, but just know that because the Constitution is fluid, And Congress is fluid, that this is constantly changing, and laws have been made and then they've been repealed and things like that. So the balance of power has varied over the years. In times of crisis, Congress has given extra emergency powers to the president. A really good example of this that you guys might remember from US history is the Great Depression. So when the Great Depression was happening, what happened?
Everyone was broke.
Everyone was broke. Nobody had money. So the president signed something called the New Deal, and it was made to like give people some money, give people some help. Congress holds that power of the purse, meaning they're the ones that can ultimately approve or deny money, but they understand as a president of what the nation was going through, that they might have to give a little. So they did. They gave the president some powers, emergency powers, to enact legislation, with the help of Congress to help the people. You'll see the power of budget and tax is constant struggle. The president sets a budget, but Congress has to approve it, and that doesn't always work well together. Impoundment, that's just a vocab word. The president's refusal to spend money, Congress has voted to fund a program. So, yeah, it's this constant battle when you're talking about money. And finally, the Supreme Court has struck down legislative veto, and I mentioned that from that last section, and the line item veto. The line item veto, I'll just explain what that was. For a while, the president wanted to be able to just veto one part of a bill. So a bill could say, I don't know, we're going to give $1 million to school districts everywhere. But there might have been a clause in it saying that $50,000 is going to go to the home state of the senator that made the bill. The president wanted the power to be able to delete just that little item, which sounds like a good thing. And it could have been, but it could also have been very bad, because by a president being able to just delete certain parts of the bill, it could have changed the whole meaning of the bill. So that doesn't happen today. All right. Does anyone have any questions? And then I'm just going to show you this book activity, and then for those of you at home, you guys can log off after that. So we're just going to try and figure out which thing this applies to. So in December 2007, President George Bush wanted Congress to pass legislation funding the U.S. war effort in Iraq. The Democrat-controlled House passed a $50 billion war spending bill, but added a provision requiring U.S. troops to start a withdrawal from Iraq within 30 days. Bush opposed this requirement, stating that Congress should not dictate how the armed forces conduct war. So what was the disagreement here? And I don't know if kids at home are what you guys are doing right now. So what do you think?
Can't read that.
Come on up. You can click. So do you think that was checks and balances, party politics?
Do I just click on it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just confused.
So do you think it was checks and balances, a constitutional thing?
Oh,
Were they dealing with different constituents? Does this have to do with the voters? Did it have to do with parties? Was it dealing with the organization of Congress? Or was it because of different political timetables? So when you look at this, Democrat-controlled House, President Bush was a Republican. Could be that.
I don't think it's checks and balances though, because that has to do with all of them, but mostly Congress, right?
Well, all of them, but Congress can check the president by saying if you declare war or not. But this isn't really about declaring war.
So, probably party politics.
Okay.
Let's see.
Let's go to next. Oh. What happened? I don't know. Close this.
Oh, okay.
Real answers. Okay, so it's saying it was all three of these things.
Oh, okay, so just click, okay.
Yep,
Now.
and that's okay. So those of you at home, I'm gonna let you go. This is one of those little activities you can do in your book. I don't want to keep you on the computer any longer. Do you guys at home have any questions?